the major historic development of Western civilization. Hi, I'm Rowan Solayo, and now I'm going to show you the period and major development of Western civilization. Ancient Greece, Roman civilization, the rise of Christianity, Middle Ages, the Protestant Reformation, and the Renaissance. Let's watch first a short video clip about Western civilization.
Western Civilization, presented by me, Dr. Vuk, PhD. When studying Western civilization, it's far easier to define its history than its exact geographic location. The term is most commonly used to refer to the nations located in the Western Hemisphere. These nations also share a certain set of cultural values developed over 3,000 years ago in ancient Greece. However, globalization has complicated how we pinpoint what countries lie within Western civilization's boundaries. For example, many would define Australia and New Zealand as Western nations because their cultures have European origins. Although there is much debate over where Western civilization begins and ends, setting geographical boundaries for the term is almost pointless. These days, it seems that Western civilization is more accurately defined by cultural achievements rather than physical location. Although the exact geographic boundaries are up for debate, few can deny the impact Western civilization has had on the rest of the world. For 3,000 years, this region has imported its advances in culture, technology, and warfare across the globe. This era has included high points in human history, such as the rise of the Roman Empire, the Renaissance, and the Enlightenment. Many of its breakthroughs in areas like the arts, politics, and science are still widely influential in the present day.
And today we'll be tackling about critical events and periods in the Western civilization. Ancient Greece, one of the smaller ancient civilizations, Greece exerted an influence out of proportion to its size on the development of Western civilization, will lead to the foundation for much modern science and governance, as well as art, mathematics, poetry, and more. According to Longby 2018, the ancient Greek city-state created the first literature of the West. For instance, with Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, the ancient Greek also created philosophy with key figures such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. The Greeks invented the first Western theater with playwrights. Sports in the Western world began with the Greeks, especially the Olympic Games. Greeks were also noted for their architecture, the symmetrical columns found in structures such as Parthenon, which was a temple to Athena in Athens. Roman civilization. Roman Empire has played a huge role in the development of Europe and Western civilization as a whole in realms such as religion, law, architecture, warfare, language, and more. The rise of Christianity. The history and formation of Western culture has been inextricably linked to Christianity. The Church has historically made a major provider of social services such as education and medical care, as well as inspiration for art, culture, and philosophy, and a powerful political and religious role. Then, what's next? The fall of Western Roman Empire is considered as the beginning of the Middle Ages. What was in the Middle Ages? The medieval period of European history between the fall of the Roman Empire and the beginning of the Renaissance are sometimes referred to as the Dark Ages. Let's watch a short video clip about Middle Ages.
5 things you should know about the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages were a very long period of time in history. Mind you, no less than 10 centuries. It began with the fall of the Roman Empire in 476 AD and ended with the discovery of America in 1492 AD. The end of the Middle Ages is also related to the fall of the Byzantine Empire and the invention of the printing press. After the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century, Europe was divided in many territories. The majority of them were dominated by territorial monarchies, a ruling system where kings had come to power, meaning they were the ones that ruled. During the Middle Ages, society was based around the feudal system. Do you know what feudal system means? Picture a pyramid. Its top part would be the king, who, like we said before, had the power, and ruled over the land with clerical consent. Right below the king and the clergy were the nobles. They ruled over the lands allocated to them by the king, in exchange for swearing allegiance and defending the country during warfare. Nobles had authority over peasants and vassals known as serfs who worked the land and lived there. They worked for protection. In exchange, peasants paid high taxes to their lords. As we said before, the Middle Ages lasted more than 1,000 years. That's why we divide this period in two phases: the early Middle Ages from the 5th to the 10th century and the late Middle Ages from the 11th to the 15th century. What's the difference about each phase? During the early Middle Ages, the nobility and the clergy had a lot of power. In contrast, during the late Middle Ages, the monarchy takes power back. During the Middle Ages, agriculture and cattle raising were solely a means of subsistence, that is to say, to feed the people. By contrast, during the late Middle Ages, there's an increase in production and commercial activity. While in the early Middle Ages, people lived on fiefs, during the late Middle Ages, there's a resurgence of the cities that become the new economic centers. During the Middle Ages, warfare was very common. The importance of knights derives from this fact, as they played a key role defending their king and nobles. Knights were taught fighting skills and were trained with all sorts of weapons. They wore a heavy armor and a helmet which protected them. Many knights were members of the gentry. Apart from warfare, knights also participated in tournaments and jousts, risking their reputation and prestige. Have you ever seen a medieval castle? Castles were fortified structures typically built in the Middle Ages. They were situated on high ground, which made defending the territory much easier, as you could see far into the distance. Castles were usually protected by defensive walls, and sometimes there was a moat surrounding them. The king and the noblemen lived in the castle. Medieval markets were just a place to buy food, grain, spices, fabrics, or jewelry. Peasants sold their farming products and cattle, while artisans sold handmade objects. In the Middle Ages, artisans of the same trade formed associations called craft guilds. For example, the Blacksmiths Guild, the Bread Bakers Guild, or the Stonecutters Guild. These are the 5 things you should know about the Middle Ages. Did you like learning about them?
The Protestant Reformation. Protestant Reformation began in 1517 with Martin Luther. Who is Martin Luther? He is a German monk and university professor. He believed that individual could be saved only by personal faith in Jesus Christ and the grace of God. He thought the Catholic Church practices focusing on works such as pilgrimages, the sale of indulgences to obtain forgiveness, and prayers addressed to saints were immoral. What is Protestant Reformation? It is the religious movement that began in the 16th century, brought an end of ecclesiastical unit of medieval Christianity in Western Europe. The Renaissance period. This period is also started in Florence, Italy in the 14th century, when affluent personalities funded the extravagant pursuit of Renaissance character. Developments in painting methods, the creation of printing texts, new theories, and discoveries in astronomy and other disciplines of science. Protestant Reformation were all made during the Renaissance. These are the events and periods in the history of Western civilization. As a result, our civilization is founded on thousands of years of history that dates back to antiquity. In accordance with social studies standards, we must study about the history of Western civilization in order to appreciate the contemporary world and make sense of current events. As a result, we will be able to apply our newfound knowledge in the future. I hope you like this historical journey. Thank you!